Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing my first review for this season of Game of Thrones. This is for episode 1, the season premiere. It's called Dragonstone. And as per usual, spoiler warning, if you guys have not seen this episode yet, you probably are going to want to watch it before you watch my review. So was really excited. If you guys didn't see the video earlier on today, did a Game of Thrones premiere tonight type of video, giving my expectations for the season and what I was thinking we're going to see with this 7-episode season. So the first episode, a lot of fun for sure. A lot of it went how I kind of had predicted, or I kind of thought. But of course, you know, nothing is as simple as you'd think it would be with Game of Thrones. We do see, in fact, Euron approach Cersei. However, Cersei declines, at least at first. So he promises that he's going to bring her a priceless gift, or a present, so to speak, to maybe sweeten the deal, which is kind of cool. And I also like to get to see Euron's first kind of look in the TV series version 4. Euron, who is he's interesting. I like him as a villain. I think he's really cool. He's got kind of a, I don't want to say flamboyant, but he's kind of got a little bit of a bravado to him, and kind of, yeah, a little bit flamboyant, I want to say, with how he acts. And of course, also we find out that he's kind of a psycho, right? He's a little psycho. He's like, you know, killing his brother. You know, you should try it, right? You should give it a try, right? And he's all happy about it and everything. So that was pretty cool to get to see that with him. I mean, we've had a little bit with Euron before, of course, with him taking the Iron Islands and all that. So he's a fun character, and I'm excited for him to see what he's going to bring as a villain, because Game of Thrones does have some amazing villains, the Cersei, and you know. Night King, and earlier on we have, of course, Joffrey and Ramsay. So he's had some great villains, and he's unique enough and he's different enough that that I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen with him, and how he's going to be able to convince Cersei to ally with him. I mean, I don't see how she couldn't, and they do address the elephant in the room, the Lannisters, which is they are absolutely surrounded by enemies. We heard that in the trailer. Enemies everywhere, basically, all around them, and that they're going to need allies, you know. And they were, of course, they're smart. They're not stupid. Cersei's no dummy, you know. She knows exactly, and Jaime is kind of with her as well, but he's kind of like, he seems to be more worried than she is from the looks of things in this episode, because he realizes, I think, how bad of a state they're in, which he mentions the Tyrells, he mentions food and supply and things like this, and what they're going to need to do. And you know, Cersei regarding herself as the queen, him more looking at like the Seven Kingdoms, him more looking at like, I'm not so sure. So really like the stuff with the Lannisters this episode, and a lot of it went how I thought it would. I like that that Cersei knows now that Tyrion is the hand of the queen, so to speak, Daenerys' hand, which was cool. And also the part where Euron goes to kind of walk up a little bit closer to her, and the mountain kind of come up, you know, give him a little bit of a yeah, so that was fun. So that was really good stuff. Really enjoyed seeing that. The episode starts off in great fashion, I want to say, where we have Arya getting to, and they showed kind of a previously on, which was cool, and we get to kind of see what Arya does right after, of course, the season 6 finale. And it turns out that she kind of finishes the job, so to speak. And I really like this scene as well too. You could see it happening as it was happening. You kind of knew that she was Walder Frey, but it was enjoyable to see as well. You know, after, of course, the events of the Red Wedding earlier on in the series. It's just really nice to get to see some vengeance for the Starks, and the Starks kind of regain their power in the north, which is really cool. Of course, with the King's Landing, Cersei and Lannisters losing power in the south, and also the Starks gaining even more power in the north. One thing I did not see coming was Arya heading south to King's Landing to kill the Queen, which was a fun scene, and I did like it. I like the scene where she meets with the guys, and now are they Lannister men? They're wearing the colors, that kind of thing. But it was a good scene because at first, you get to think like, oh man, she's going to kill him, right? They're drinking blackberry wine, but then she sits with him for a bit, and we get the sense that maybe she understands that things aren't as black and white, and that's something that I think has been really cool about Game of Thrones as you go through. You have different sides and you have different factions, but it doesn't mean that everybody on one side is good or everybody on in one faction is bad. You have it sometimes. Like in this case, she meets them. They seem like really nice guys. They seem like, now what is she going to do about that? We'll have to see. Is she just going to, leave and let them go? She's looking at their sword. She's looking around. She's kind of deciding. So we'll have to see next week in episode 2 what's going to happen with that. I'll maybe do a little bit more on this in the predictions video, which I'll do right after this one. So after you guys are done watching this and video credits, we'll have the predictions for episode 2. But it was a really cool scene because I think of that part, at least the way I'm reading is that she's decided that she's probably not going to kill them. We'll have to see. She's so scorned herself and she's been through so much. But you get them. They're talking about they're the one's talking about his child, the other's talking about his family, and they just seem like really good guys. They also laugh at her joke about killing the queen and everything. Well, from her it's not a joke, and from what we've seen it's not a joke, but for them they kind of took it as a joke, like it's really funny. So I'm interested to see what Arya does with this, and you guys can write your comments below on what you think. Is she so scorned that she has kind of become... To achieve her goals and to do what she has to do, will she kill these guys who are on the wrong side from her perspective, but at the same time, they don't, she of course is totally against their side of things. So I think she's going to let them go, but we'll see what happens with that, because she certainly could kill them. But anyway, the North remembers. Tell them winter has come, for the phrase. So that was really good. One wolf alive, and the sheep are never safe. So that was a really cool quote as well too from the intro. 6 scene. I love the intro scene for sure of this episode. So after the cool intro, we've got, as always, love the Game of Thrones intro. It gives me chills just to watch it because Game of Thrones is awesome. So the North. So you got the snowstorm coming through. You got kind of the snow coming up, and then you've got the White Walkers come through, and we got a sick look from Bran, kind of warging or looking over. Of a White Walker giant, which was very cool. I just got to thinking to myself, who's going to take down that thing? Oh my God, that is going to be a pain in the ass for them to try to figure out how they're going to take that thing down. So that was very cool, of course. Did a video earlier, speaking of White Walker zombies. The great George Romero has unfortunately passed away. So that really sucks. So you can check that if you want. Creator of Night of the Living Dead, Zombie Apocalypse, the whole genre. Not that that's the first time you've seen Undead and this kind of stuff, but, you see it in other shows and movies and things, and it makes me think about it. So that's kind of on my mind today because that happened yesterday. Videos on the channel if you want to see more about or hear more about that and my thoughts on a really sad one. But anyway, back to the fun episode. It was really cool to see the White Walkers like that, and the giant one really scary. Bran arriving at the wall, which was really cool. The Night's King coming in, which is sweet. The Dragon Glass. So then we've got castles to who? So the scene where they decide what they're going to do with the castle. Sansa thinking that you should give it to those who are loyal to you. Jon kind of going more with like a Eddard, I want to say, choice, or an Eddard guided choice. Littlefinger would probably give it to the ones who are loyal. And maybe slaughter the families, clear the families out, something like that is probably what Littlefinger would do, and maybe what Sansa would do. Jon, still going with kind of the moral, Eddard type of teaching or way of doing things, which is to, not strip them of their castles or their houses, and allow them to continue even though their fathers made some mistakes. So that was a cool scene, and I like that because after all, Jon is a good guy. He's not a villain almost to anybody, really. He's a really good guy type of leader. He's a good guy type of king. Some good scenes in here with Jon and Sansa, which I did like. A mention of Joffrey and her saying that he's good at ruling, that he's nothing like Joffrey, which was cool. And then we've got the Raven from King's Landing, Cersei, and she sends her first kind of message or stab, so to speak, that they're not, lets them know that they're not cool. So I do like the position that Jon and the others are in, where Jon is right now is worried about the Night King and is really focused on him. He's not as worried about, the South and about what's happening down there, which also makes sense because, of course, you got Daenerys coming in there as well, and she's thinking about attacking King's Landing right away. We saw it in the promo for next week's episode. I don't think she will attack right away. I think there's more to come. There's going to be some more things happening, before it comes to that. But yeah, I do like how Jon is kind of more focused right now on the Night King because, of course, he has seen him. He knows how threatening he is and how dangerous he can be. And also in this one, we had some cool stuff with Sam, which is that he makes a discovery where they can get all the dragon glass they're going to need, which is from Dragonstone. So, of course, we might have the first connection here in our, this season for Jon in the north to Dragonstone and Daenerys. So possibly them becoming allies here, by the end of the season. We'll have to see how things go with that. But yeah, we have, of course, in the north, the White Walkers as our main antagonists, and King's Landing as well with Daenerys and Euron joining with them. So to even, I don't want to say even the odds, but he says 1,000 ships, so maybe one of the greatest fleets ever engineered, and so that should definitely make things, I want to say, a little bit harder for Daenerys, as Euron seems to want to ally with the Lannisters due to what happened with Yara and Theon. We had another fun scene between Brienne and Tormund, and I like their kind of thing and what's going on there because, Tormund likes her and she's not interested, which is funny. So that's cool. And, Sophie Turner plays Sansa. She's wicked tall, right? Like, compared to earlier. She's, like, taller than all these other people. Like, you got, like, Jon and the others. It's, like, tall. It's crazy. It's just weird to me. Then we had the scene with Arya, like I mentioned before, and we had the Hound with the Brotherhood Without Banners, Thoros and Myr, and Beric Dondarrion. And you've got the scene in the flames and them kind of realizing why they came back, and it seems to fight, right? They came back to fight. So also like that one as well there too, and the Hound kind of maybe seeing a bit of his past self and about the things that he did and about who he used to be. And what he did, and maybe burying that. So maybe, in a way, burying that old version of himself and him being, born again, so to speak, new, and, making a turn from, the beginning of the series, of course, the Hound. His journey's been interesting throughout the series, starting out as almost, I want to say, like a 100, maybe not 100% villain. There are some things he does earlier on, like he stops his brother, the mountain from killing and doing things like that. But I like to see that he gets to bury the two there, which is good from earlier on in the series that he, so that was good. And I like that it ended up being, something like that. And he kind of got to maybe look at, from this perspective now and where he's at right now in the series and who he is at the old version of himself and the things that he did. And, for sure feeling guilty about that and wanting to bury them. So that was a good scene. So good stuff there. Let's see. We got Sam and all of the scenes with him, the map of Dragonstone, and all the bedpans and stuff. So I like kind of the. It wasn't a montage, but they went through them very quickly, and I like the way they cut it. It was nice and fast for a lot of that. It didn't drag at all. It was cool, and it was nice to get to see where he's at and kind of having to sneak in and get the information that he needs and then send it off right away. We also get a very unexpected look from Jorah, who's got the grayscale, and it seems to be at this point really bad. It's covering him. It's brutal. He kind of goes to reach out, right? And Sam's like, "Oh, the shit! Don't touch me." The shit. And he asks about Daenerys, and Sam hasn't heard anything yet. But of course, we get to see a nice little intro there, roll in for Daenerys as she arrives home. Finally, Dragonstone. Beautiful visuals, really nice, really cool stuff all around. Walking through, pulling down the banners like that, getting to see the it's amazing all the work they go to for this show. They build these. Like the section where, of course, we had all the stuff with Stannis earlier on in Dragonstone. You go through, you see the dragons of the wall and everything. Just really, really cool environmental shots, and set design was pretty amazing, as it always is with Game of Thrones, right? Always. So we basically ended off with Shall We Begin? So yeah, that's pretty much it for your recap of what we got to see in the episode. Really like the episode as a premiere episode. You know, with Game of Thrones, like, we don't always get these crazy premieres. We have big deaths and things like that. Sometimes they do it. In this one, we had the cleaning up from Arya of the rest of the phrase, and some awesome setup for what's going to happen this season. No look at the sand snakes in this episode, but you know, it was packed enough as it was, and we got to see a lot of good different locations and some good progression. So I really, you know, as always enjoy the episode. So some really great setup for this season of Game of Thrones. Very saddened that it's only going to be 7 episodes and we've already seen 1. But, you know, I mean, it's Game of Thrones. We got the 2 final major battles, looks like, are 2 final wars, but you can never predict with Game of Thrones. You never know what's going to happen. And, you know, it seems likely that you'd see Jon and Daenerys kind of become allies, join sides. But, you know, again, Daenerys she doesn't really know anyone here. Tyrion's going to help guide her. But, you know, we can kind of, I think here we've got to expect the unexpected in some ways to see some things that we haven't. We'll see what Euron does and if he tries to go after Tyrion, you know, and maybe try to get him somehow. And it could be some good stuff to see what happens with that. Maybe kill himself a dragon or something. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens with that. So I really like the season's premiere. Of course, we'll be back for a predictions video in about half an hour to an hour. If you guys like this review, please don't forget to thumb it up below. Let me know what you guys thought about this first episode for Game of Thrones Season 7. Such an exciting show. It's like a whole event with the series being on. One of the best TV series ever made, for sure. Write your comments below. Let me know what you guys think. And yeah, absolutely send me questions for Q&As for this week. Going to do at least one Q&A for Game of Thrones after seeing the premiere. And I'll be back soon for the predictions video. As always, it's Trev, and I'm saying peace. Later, guys. I'll see you soon.